teachers going rogue, what is a parent to do? We're going to assume for purposes of the question that the mother of the student, that the student in the question has a disability, and we're going to assume it's autism. And the first part of the question asks, can I get something written into my IEP that says this person can't talk to my daughter? And the answer is no, but there are other remedies. So as far as the no goes, I think in general, if you try to bring up personnel issues at an IEP meeting, they tend to shut you down. They have various things they say, like, well, our union rules don't let us discuss this. That's not really going to be productive. However, there are other remedies, probably remedies under the IDEA, probably remedies under Title II, and also remedies under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And that's what I'm going to focus on today, because I don't think we can do all three in one question. But if you want to talk about Title II or other remedies, we can do that another time. So Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is an anti-discrimination statute, and it basically says if you have a person with a disability and your entity receives federal funds, which we know the school does, then the entity and anybody kind of within the entity can't discriminate against somebody on the basis of their disability. And so in this section, I'm going to view this as we need to make a complaint under Section 504, which is a permitted remedy to deal with the fact that this teacher is discriminating against, in other words, singling out this student for different treatment. She's overriding the other teachers, which I find quite significant. And I actually find her behavior to be sort of bullying behavior if you analyze bullying more broadly than I think parents do. So before we dive into this question, in my researching the question, I found two excellent articles, and Shannon, I think you're going to display them afterwards. Is that what you said?
Yes, we'll make sure that they're included on the YouTube highlight.
So just know these are articles that I found on Google. One is called Disability Harassment in the Public Schools. It's a quite lengthy scholarly article, and it employs a broad definition of bullying and harassment, and you might want to look at that for your own edification, since a lot of us that had children with autism or have children with autism have had bullying be an issue. The second article, which is also excellent, is put out by Disability Rights of California, and it's called Bullying and Disability Harassment of Students with Disabilities. So we're not going to get into that right now, but if you're having this problem, that's a good resource. Those are good resources for you. So, this teacher is hassling the student about where she sits, with whom she socializes. She's been harassed for being late, even in situations where the teacher is holding her over. She's accused her of throwing a notebook at her, which makes me a little nervous because it makes me think they're going to impose discipline on this student, which is a whole other topic we need to talk about at some point. I'd be worried that they're going to suspend her for throwing a notebook at this teacher. So I'd be concerned about that. So going back to our 504 remedies, you can't deny somebody the benefits of the establishment or discriminate against them. And if you feel that that's being done to your child, the Office of Civil Rights, which is a part of the United States Department of Education, can take a written complaint from you about your problem, and they will investigate. Now, it's very cool. If you go online, you will find you can actually e-file your complaint right online with the Office of Civil Rights, which we call OCR. And as long as you make your complaint within 180 days of the complaint about behavior, they will investigate it. And also, each school district should have a policy about how these discrimination complaints are supposed to be made at the school level. In other words, there should be a school process for SAME, and they can receive your complaint after, up to 60 days after the complaint of behavior. So I think that if the mom makes an OCR complaint and she makes a complaint at the school level, I think that it's going to be very effective. I think that she's going to find that the administration is going to be very unhappy with this teacher, and they're going to tell her to back off. And so that may not be a permanent fix, but hopefully it's going to be a fix for long enough so maybe, the daughter gets out of the school or the person leaves or leaves her alone or whatever. Those are sort of my best suggestions. Now, if we want to, we could talk a little bit more specifically about what Section 504 covers. It's a very, I think, broad and inclusive statute. If you have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more of your life activities, you're entitled to a FAPE, and you have to be protected from discrimination by anybody within the entity receiving federal funds, in this case the school district. So it's quite obvious that autism is going to be a covered disability. And OCR's role is they will investigate, and they don't generally financially sanction the district, but they'll actually help them work on a compliance plan. And this drives school districts nuts. They don't want that oversight. They view it as people messing in their business, and they really want it over with. So I think this is going to be a much more effective remedy than going to the IEP team meeting and asking them to do something that they're not going to do. So we know it's unlawful to discriminate on the basis of disability, and we know that Section 504 protects against that, and it also protects against retaliation. So, for example, if this mom is retaliated against for making the complaint, that becomes the basis of a second complaint. And if you're seeing activity at school that you think is discriminatory, anyone can complain. It doesn't have to be your child or your child's teacher. It could be a classroom aide, because we know sometimes classroom aides do horrible things, and they have the power to ask for an investigation at the OCR level. So, I think in a general way, that's what I wanted to say about this question, except for that I also did want to tell you that I think the teacher's bullying the student, and I'm just going to read quickly a definition of bullying and make a comment or two about that, and then we're going to go on to the second question because I want to make sure we have enough time. Okay. But bullying has become something that's just, is defined much more broadly than before. So according to the Disability Rights article, which I recommend you to, verbal bullying, taunting, teasing, name-calling, threatening, physical bullying, tripping, kicking, spitting, pushing, all constitute bullying, which they define more broadly as a combination of an imbalance of power, behaviors which cause harm, and repetition of the behavior. And then they discuss social bullying, which includes spreading rumors, manipulating social relationships, demanding money or property or intimidation. And then finally there's cyberbullying, demanding money or property or intimidation, and, cyberbullying. Electronic acts including use of texting, social media websites such as Facebook or YouTube, and email to humiliate targets. And then California law defines it as any severe or pervasive physical or verbal act or conduct committed by a student directed towards other students. But it can also be directed toward the student by really anybody at the school.